Can I fix this in 10 minutes? We're so lucky to have this little four-wheel drive fire truck. We use it all the time for gathering wood and moving animal feed around. And also, it's got this lovely slide-out bed on the back that was for the water pump that we can use as a little bench for fixing stuff. So this is the neighbour's rotavator, or Motoenxada we call it here, or Tilly you call it in the US. He hasn't run it for a couple of years. He's pulled it out of the shed to turn over the soil, and it's not working. We've got loads of machines like this on the farm with the same kind of engine, so I'm always fixing them. I'm going to quickly change the spark plug, disconnect all the sensors because they can be a problem sometimes, change the fuel, pull the carburettor off, give it a good clean, put it back together. Should take me 10-15 minutes and hopefully we'll get it fixed. These little generator engines on loads of different machines and the carburetors are all the same. The only thing that might be different on your machine is this one's got 2 air filters. So it's got an air box on the top and an oil bath air filter on the bottom. So yours might not have this, but ignore those because the carburetor is going to be the same. And we're going to show you how to strip it, clean it and get it running again. You don't need many tools, simple socket set. Obviously, a socket to remove the spark plug, a flathead screwdriver, 10mm spanner, and a 10mm socket. And that should get the carburetor off and allow us to clean it. Now, I've stolen a pin as well from my wife's sewing box, just in case we need to push them through to clear the dirt out of the jets. The other thing I use is an old tent peg, because that's the perfect size to fill the hole in the fuel pipe when you disconnect it to stop all the fuel wasting away. So first of all, we're going to take the air box off the top. This machine's got 2 air filters, an oil sump air filter and a foam air filter. Most have only got the foam air filter, so if your machine hasn't got this, don't worry about it. It's not particularly important. It's just an extra layer of filtration for the air. So off with the butterfly nut at the top. This one off as well, and the air box should just come straight up. Just check there's no yuckies in there, but it's not going to stop it starting, or it shouldn't do. Just make it run a bit rough if that's really blocked up. But this is quite a new machine, so that's nice and clean. And then you've got this machine, you've got 3 nuts to pull off. You've got 2 10mm nuts here and a 10mm bolt up the top there. So most machines are just going to have these 210 here. And then on the top, this machine, like I say, it's got an extra air filter, so we've got an extra nut here just to hold it together. So I'll pull that one out. There you go, like those 2, and then the third one over here. And then, as if by magic, this whole section here will pull away. Disconnect this pipe here, it just shoves into there. Right, off we go. So that's that one off. And then you can see your 2 rods here that go into the head to hold your carburetor in place. Be a little bit careful with the gaskets. Oh, this one's loose, that's okay. Just they can be a bit stuck on there. We've got a bit of a leak there by the looks of things. Fuel coming out, right. Put that one to our save. And then pull this forward just a little bit. There we go. And then you've got a rod here that needs to come out, and a little spring here. Be a bit careful with that, it's only thin. There you go, so those 2 are off. So it's moving around, so we just got to take our fuel pipe off from the back. That's where the magic tent peg is helpful. Perfect size to shove into the hose to stop all the fuel coming out your tank. Okay, goes in there, stops our fuel escaping. Right, so now you can take your carburetor off. And we're going to give it a good clean. So we're outside on the back of the fire truck, the carburetor off. After the fuel chamber at the bottom, what normally happens is that jet gets stuck with all the dirty muck from the bottom, and that's why it won't run. So we're going to take this off, give it a clean, and then use some carb cleaner and also this pin just to work its way up through to make sure we got a nice clear hole from the bottom to the top. So this machine has got a tap on it for drainage, so we can drain we've got a tub on the floor there, so just drain the fuel off so we don't make a mess. Most of them have just got a little bolt here that you pull the bolt out and it will do the same job. So then we remove this one here, 10mm. They're normally pretty tight. There we go. All right, take that one off, and then this fuel chamber will come away. Inside there's the float. Still a bit yucky. All right. There's that. That pops off. It might be a bit tight, so you might have to give it a bit of a wiggle to get it off. There's some fuel in the bottom there. Right, so in this section here, that's where we've probably got the problem. It looks pretty yucky in there. So a bit of carb cleaner. And then I'll just be a bit generous with this around here. You're going to just spray this wherever you can see a hole, basically. And make sure it's working back through to the centre of the carburetor. Be careful not to get in your eyes, it's pretty potent stuff. Right, now, I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver. And you'll see inside there's a hole in the middle. And you can see either side of it is where you can get the screwdriver in to unscrew. So you want to be really pushing hard on that and make sure that you don't strip or make a mess of that, because if you can't get that out, you're a bit stuffed. Alright, seems like you've done enough. Tap it and that'll come out. There we go. Now the problem probably is the tiny hole in the middle. It's probably blocked. Yeah, I can't see anything through it. I can't see any light through it. So, I found my pin. Just going to work that from the bottom up. See what happens. Oh yeah. Alright, it's gone straight through, but there's quite a lot of dirt in there. Definitely wasn't a hole before. So, the jet's nice and clean now. Yeah, you can see light straight through it. So that's got to go back in. So take your carburetor, just drop it in the middle there. Screw him back in. It doesn't want to be crazy tight, but it's got to be tight enough not to rattle loose. So just gently get it all the way in and then nip it up at the end. Then you want to make sure your float moves nicely, which this one does. This bolt that holds the float chamber on was corroded on the bottom, so I've just given that a good clean with the sandpaper. Make sure there's we just don't want any debris that could get stuck back inside the carb and cause you problems again. So you just want to make sure that that's nice and clean. Make sure there's no debris around there, and make sure the bottom of your float bowl is clean as well. I've just given this a quick rinse out. Everything looks fine. So that goes back on. Make sure I get it the right way around. Yep. Goes in there. That goes on there. And we'll just tighten this one up. Again, not too tight, but tight enough it's not going to rattle loose. Okay, so now we're ready to put the carb back on. So don't forget your gaskets. I've left that one on there. Carburetor slides on. Which way around are we? That way around. Right, carburetor on. And your second gasket here, which I've put around here, just make sure they line up as they did before. You've got a gap here for that hole and those two there. Move the fuel hose out of the way of it. Right, so that's on quite nice. Before you push it snug, you want to connect the rod, throttle rod, and your little spring. It's hidden around the back there, so that pops in there. Oh, that's sprung off. Slightly annoying. Come on, you git. Alright. Now that goes in there. So, push that back. Everything's nice and snug. Make sure nothing's in the way. All looks good. So, I can reconnect the fuel hose. So, try and do it as quickly as possible. I always waste some fuel, so I've got a tub underneath to catch it just in case. But, you've got to get that off there and on there as quickly as you can. If possible to do it without losing a little bit. Right. So, pop that down. We've got my little clip here to stop it jumping off. There we go. That's good. So that goes back in. That's connected. That's connected. That's connected. Now we've got the air box to go back on. First of all, we've got this extra air filter. So that stops in there. Okay, to connect the pipe. There we go. And then we've got the two nuts to go here and here. But this has got the extra bolt that goes in the top here as well. You might have it on your machine, you might not. The carburetors are the same. This motor is in loads of different machines. We got it in my son's go-kart. We've got it in the generator. So it's a really useful skill to know how to fix them and clear the carb, because you could do it. You could be needing to do it on any of those machines if they're not running. Not too tight with these because you want to split the plastic. But it's got to be tight enough that we haven't got any air getting through the back into the carburetor where we don't want it. There we go. Down at the top. And then we can stick the airbox back on and try and run her up. Hopefully, let's fix our problem and she'll start. Pretty confident. So, airbox back on. Could always use some quick start spray to get it started if we need to, but I think we should be alright. So, this one with the fuel tap, we can at least check if the fuel's coming through nicely. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I've got loads of fuel. Excellent. And the fuel's all good. So, carburetor on, fuel on, good to go. Take a while to get the fuel into the carb. It's not happy, so I'm going to drain the fuel tank because that fuel's 2 years old. It still won't start. We're going to pull the spark plug out and give it a check. Something's not quite right. I think what I'm going to do actually is swap it out for a spark plug out of our machine that is running, and then it'll be a quick way to eliminate whether it's a problem or not. So just pull this one out. Somewhere here I've got the one that we know is good. So there's the old one. It looks clean, it looks okay. Well, something's not working, so we'll pop this one in that we know does work and see what happens. Right, that's in. There's a couple of wires I'm going to disconnect because they could be causing a problem. So on the top here we've got the on-off switch. Basically it's just an off switch. So if you disconnect it, it's on all the time. So if there's a problem with the switch and you disconnect it, it's going to get rid of that problem. And then on this side, we've got an oil level sensor here, which I've also disconnected. Just because if the oil sensor is stuck or causing problems inside, it's going to stop it from running. And we know, I've checked the oil, so check your oil before you disconnect that. Make sure your oil's at the right level before you disconnect it, because it's a good safety feature, but it can go wrong. So I've disconnected those two, and now we should be able to give it a start. Change the fuel as well, because the fuel is a couple of years old, it might have gone off. I've disconnected both the sensors. We've changed the fuel, we've got fresh fuel in there. Carburetor's clean. Spark plug's been out, we've checked it and cleaned it, put it back in. So, fingers crossed, it should start now. I'm going to give myself a bit of a head start with some rapid start. It's great stuff. So we're going to shove that in the carburetor with the choke open. And I'll just give it a quick boost and hopefully help it start. So, choke off, fuel on, sensors disconnected. Let's give it a pull. Fingers crossed. That was unexpected again. Excellent. Woohoo! What's it? Seems like it's running nicely. I'm just going to reconnect all the sensors, because I don't think those were the problem. It was the bad fuel, block carburetor, and dodgy spark plug, or dirty spark plug. So, connect the one over here, so the on-off switch will then work. We're on. Let's see if she fires up. Woohoo! Quite exciting. Right, choke is on. Woohoo! First pull. Happy with that. So the sensors are fine. She's running nicely. Choke off. Great. Fixed. Thanks for watching. Hope the video helped. Hope you fixed your machine nice and quickly like I did. I'm going to hop in the fire truck and take the machine back to the neighbour. Hopefully he's happy. He's a happy chap anyway, but he should be really happy now he's got a machine that's working. I might even get a beer out of it. Cheers.